Looks like we're going to be doing a wheel cylinder on this Dodge pickup truck. He's complaining that all of his brake fluid is running out of the bottom of the wheel.
¿Ya no subí más?
Poquito más.
¿Verdad?
Yeah, we see that oil dripping off of there, so he's obviously got a wheel cylinder blown out.
Ouch.
Did it hit you?
No, it's a little bit.
Okay, yeah, you got a wheel cylinder out. Let me get a screwdriver.
¿Voy a necesitar cambiar librecas o qué? Pues sí, está bien.
A ver.
Esto es toda la breca,
Yeah.
¿O no? Sí. Ah, va.
Depende. Si quieres cambiarlo, podemos.
Pues, como quieras. Si quieres, mejor.
Si no cambiamos, necesitamos limpiarlos.
Sí, limpiarlas. No le limpiamos porque quiero cambiar librecas, pero quiero cambiárselas las cuatro juntas.
¿Por qué?
Porque,
Los enfrentes son muy fáciles.
sí, aquellas son fáciles.
Solo pocos minutos, esos son más trabajo.
Ya.
Pero si quieres hacerlos ahora,
Vamos a tener mucho trabajo,
no tanto.
¿no?
Yeah, we got a wheel cylinder leaking.
¿No tienes papel?
Well, we got two choices. We can either clean these brakes up and put them back together. A shop would never be allowed to do that, but I've done it many times and it doesn't hurt anything. You can still do it. Or we can change the brake shoes. He's a little bit undecided on that yet. The brake cleaner will dry out the oil.
You're very good, Gordon.
Thank you.
Good job, Gordon.
I think we're going to leave the brakes on here. We'll clean them up and we'll just change the wheel cylinder for now, and then we're going to do a complete brake job on it later. Most of my videos I try to do things without special tools because I'm doing it for people at home. In this case I am going to use special tools because it takes a lot more effort to get these springs on and off without the right tools. This one I bought from Snap-on about 40 years ago, but you can still get these different brands, and it's got a little hook on it right here that will go under the spring and take it right off just like that. Well, it'll miss once in a while, but it's still a whole lot easier. It's gonna make a liar out of me. And we don't need to take this whole system off, just the top springs. We're changing the wheel cylinder. pull this out a little bit, get some room. Unhook this self-adjusting cable. And that gives us enough room to get our wheel cylinder off of there. Okay, we're going to be on the inside of this brake plate, and right here on the top. In this case, sometimes it's on the bottom on trucks, but on cars it's just about always on the top. Sometimes it's on the side on foreign cars. Take off those 2 bolts and that bleeder nipple in between. We're not taking that off, but the 2 bolts on either side of it, and then we'll crack the brake line loose, and hopefully the brake line will come out without breaking. A lot of times that's an issue. They'll break and get stuck, and then you have to replace part of the brake line. We're going to be doing this from right over the top of this, so let's see if we can get a view of it with the camera from there. It's obvious, these 2 bolts here that come off, and then we got to break this brake line loose. But I can't hold the camera here, so I'll have to break it all loose and then get on the camera again. Okay, I cracked those 2 bolts loose, and now I'm going to use a line wrench. Looks like that. And this is a 3/8. The 10mm was a little sloppy on it, so we're going to use a 3/8. And you work it back and forth and make sure it's loose, and it is. So we will be able to get that off of there with that. Good.
Good, very good. Very good.
Okay, now we just about got this off. We got the brake line loose. Take these bolts off in the back that hold it on. I already got them loose. You got to leave them tight while you take the brake line loose. There's our wheel cylinder. And of course, you put it back on the exact reverse.
What?
Okay, we are going to clean this up. I'm going to put my finger over that. Spray some more of this on there. I got a parts cleaning brush now. Screwing my brake line in there, and then I'm going to put these 2 bolts on it. This is the little rubber cap that goes on the back of the bleeder valve. We're going to just set that back here for the moment. Put that on when we're done bleeding it. I am going to record this part putting this back together, because this is part of the tool that we got to use. This brake tool here, of course, that end there we used to take the springs off, and this end here we used to put them back on. It's got a little hook on the end of it. We got those parts on there, the ones that were still usable. We got to do a brake job on it, but not today. And so I'm just cleaning up the brake shoes, a little brake cleaner, clean rag until the rag is coming off clean. This will lift the oil that's soaked into the surface and make it where it's still usable. Okay, we're going to do that on both sides, clean the drum, and then we'll do the bleeding. Just filled up the master cylinder, but I'm not going to put the top on tight. I'm just going to lay it up there loose so that it'll draw air in. As the fluid goes down, it'll draw air in. Otherwise, it'll try to pull the fluid back up through the brake line down there. Because most of the time I do this alone. I got a helper today. Most of the time I do this alone, and I just let it drip bleed. That's why I leave this open for sure, so that it doesn't draw a vacuum in here. I'm going to crack loose the bleeder valve back here. If I just let it sit long enough, that'll eventually start dripping out, and it'll pretty much self-bleed, but it could still have air pockets trapped. So we're going to go ahead and pressure bleed it. It's drip bleeding right now by itself, but there still might be air pockets trapped in there someplace, because I don't know if this had not been leaking bad and he had not been pouring fluid in there, I would just do it like this and that would be plenty. But since it has been, I don't know how much air he's allowed to get in there, so we're going to pressure bleed it. Okay, dale, hit it. Hold it down tight. Okay, wait a minute. The wrench doesn't fit on here too good. All right, give me another one. Hold it down tight. Again, let it sit up for about 2 seconds and then down. Again. Okay, we're all right. What does the pedal feel like? ¿Cómo siente espiral? ¿Está duro? Okay, good. Looks like we're done.